Okay, slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. So what are parallel lines? Parallel lines are lines that never intersect. Okay, so lines that never intersect, that would be kind of like, two parallel lines for you guys. Those are like railroad tracks, right? They never intersect. They're always the same distance apart, always. Otherwise, the train would have a little problem. Perpendicular lines are two lines that intersect at right angles. Now, perpendicular lines, those are kind of like Claiborne Road and Sandy Hill. Right? Those two roads cross each other right at 90 degrees. So they are perpendicular. Okay, the symbol for perpendicular is like an upside down T. Okay, so parallel lines, we can say AB is parallel to CD. Parallel, you have two sideways, I don't know what you call them, two sideways lines. Whereas perpendicular, you can say EF, line EF. What just happened? Line EF is perpendicular to line GH. Okay, so those are the two symbols that you need to know, perpendicular and parallel. So let's find the slopes real quickly of lines A, B, C, D, and E. Go for it. Find those 5 slopes. You guys should be experts because we just did this. Okay, so here I found the slopes. You can double check. A little bit weird with C. So C, what Mr. Barker always does is he actually writes this 0/1, and then he tries it on his calculator so he doesn't screw it up and get it wrong. Oh, thanks. Okay. There we go. So C, 0/1, which is 0. And then E, the vertical line E, would be 1/0, which is undefined. Okay? So what do you guys notice about lines B and D? Lines B and D, those are like our railroad tracks. And what do you notice about their slope? And what's the other slope? And those numbers are? Exactly. So for our conclusion, we can say for parallel lines that parallel lines have the same slope. Okay? Now what about A? A crosses B and A crosses D. So what do you notice about the slope of A? -2/1 versus B, 1/2. What two things do you notice? One's the F word, flipped. And what's the other difference? One's negative. So the special math term for flipped and negative is called the negative reciprocal. Remember reciprocal? You've seen that word before when you've done division of fractions. Okay. So perpendicular lines have negative oops, IVE, negative reciprocal slopes. Flipped fraction. Okay, so some reciprocals are, if I have the number 1/3, the reciprocal is 3 over 1. If I have 7 over 8, the reciprocal is 8 over 7. Okay, so a negative reciprocal just means you got to add the negative part. That's it. The weird ones are like 4. What is the negative reciprocal of 4? Well, what's 4 as a fraction? 4 over 1. So the negative reciprocal would be 1 over 4. Right? You got to use your thinking skills here. And the negative reciprocal then would just be add a negative sign. Okay? So those are examples of negative reciprocals. So what happens when you multiply together the slopes of perpendicular lines? Well, if one slope was, say, 2/3, and we multiplied by the negative reciprocal, what would that be? What's the negative reciprocal? Story, what do you think? Flip 2/3 and add a negative sign. There you go. So let's multiply it together. So if we multiply it, it's 2 times -3 up top over 3 times +2 on the bottom, -6 over 6. What does that equal? -1. Okay. So if you multiply them, you will always get a -1. Kind of an interesting useless fact. All right. So you're going to see questions like this. Determine if this line AB is parallel to CD. So what they're saying is find this slope, and see if they are the same. That's what they're saying to do. All right, they're using math speak in a word problem to get you to do that. So find the slope AB. So we go M of AB, so look, okay, M of AB, subscript AB, equals what? Do your slope equation. -6, -2, do your subtraction. Go ahead, do it now. And then over here, you can find the slope of CD. So I use a subscript CD to identify which slope I'm finding. If you don't do that, it's okay. It's just this is really higher level speaking, right? Higher level communicating. So I found the two slopes. Did I screw something up, or is this what you got as well? Okay, so what can we say? Where? Oh, you can move wherever you want, Suk. So yeah, if I want to move it up top, I could just write it up top for sure. It doesn't matter. Okay? Yeah, and totally, yeah, if you did it, had it reversed, then you get the other way, but it's still the same number, right? Don't think it isn't. It's still the same number. Yep.
Can you do difficult and then flip the fractions?
Don't do that. You don't want to do any reflipping. That's because that's when you're looking for perpendicular lines. So what can we say here? The slopes aren't the same, so what can we say about the lines? Oh, I'm dying here. Thank you. All right. The AB is not parallel to CD because B/C is because slopes are different or not the same, whatever you want to say. Slopes are different. You guys complain about numbers. This is not any numbers, it's just a sentence. Explain what they mean. Okay. All right. Any questions about this? So the next one's going to be very, very similar, except you're going to compare EF to line GH. Okay, so you're going to have to find those slopes. And what do we know about perpendicular lines? They have, write this down, negative reciprocal slopes. Reciprocal slopes. So we're going to find the slope of EF. So subscript EF, go ahead, and then find the slope of GH. Oh, here on. Just find your notes in there and just kind of continue on. We can get them later, okay? Oh, yeah, this. Okay. Oh, were you not here yesterday? Oh, okay. And I said to do it today? Okay. Do you want a couple minutes to review first or not? Yeah, go for it. When you're ready, just come and get it right there, okay? Okay, so going forward here, I have my slope for the one line is -4/6, which I could reduce. And this one, I had double negatives, which means I actually have a positive value. Okay, so a little tricky there. Now, if you had these points switched around, you would have got your positive answer right away. Okay, but in the end, we would still get the same answer. So in lowest terms, I would get -2/3, and this would be +3/2. So what can you tell me? Are these perpendicular lines? Yes. Why? Right. Okay, so we can say EF is perpendicular to GH because, oops, someone disappearing ink. EF is perpendicular to GH B/C because they have negative reciprocal slopes. Okay, so EF is perpendicular to GH because they have negative reciprocal slopes. Any questions? So we're just going to do the top part here. Okay, investigating slopes. So what I want you to do is graph this point right here, 0, 1. Graph that point. Okay, you should have a ruler out ready. 0, 1. Okay, does everyone have that plotted? 0, 1 right there. So now what you're going to do is draw a line, a slope of 3. Sorry, negative 3. So what is the negative 3 as a fraction? Negative 3 over 1. What does that tell us to count? Negative tells us to do what? Down. So down 3, right 1. Okay. So from that point, this is how you're going to do it. You actually go 1, 2, 3 over 1. You put another point. Then you can erase your count lines. Then you count down again. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay. Do that one more time. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay, so that's if the negative is on the top. But we can count the other direction. So for the other direction, now that instead of negative 3 over 1, it's positive 3 over negative 1. So how do we count that? What does a positive 3 tell us? Up 3 and negative on your run? Left 1. I hope you see that these are opposite directions. They both switched. Okay? And so now I keep counting 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And I can't do any more, so I leave it. So now you can draw a line. Okay, nice and big and long. Use arrows. Okay. So I can now find all these points by using the slope. I'm just counting with the slope. Okay. So this point here, I can tell you the values of all those points. What is the slope of a line parallel to the one you just drew? Right, m equals negative 3. Because they have the same slope. Okay. So now I want you to draw a parallel line that goes through here, negative 6, 1. So start by plotting that point. So plot the point, then use the slope. Go. So again, down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. Okay. Up 3, left 1. Up 3, left 1. So I'm just counting by using my slope. The counting will be exactly the same as the other one. Okay. And there you go. There's your 2 parallel lines. Any questions? I have one for you. What would be the slope of a line that's perpendicular to these two? We have negative 3, that's negative 3 over 1, so what's the perpendicular slope? positive 1/3, 1/3. Okay? So now you're going to use this slope 1/3 to draw a perpendicular line that goes through this point 3, 6. So plot the point. Use the slope. Okay, plot that point 3, 6, then use the slope. And you're going to have to figure out whether to go up or down, left or right. Okay. There you have it. Any questions? I don't think we're going to do the other examples. We're going to end there. So what you can do now, the homework is all online. The textbook is. You're going to go finish these up if you're not done. You may have a few left. But your homework is to also do page 349. Numbers 11, 13, and 16 are challenge questions. Okay, so you might not get those done, but you're definitely should be able to get the other ones done. Okay? So this is all from your outline from the front. Textbook is online. I'll make up